Hey, newbie. Would you please stay on task? Never consider visiting Guam for a vacation. I found myself changing occupations after turning 50 for personal reasons. On the work trip to Guam organized by my new employer, nevertheless, I discovered that I was the only one without a boarding permit. It appears like a younger coworker set this up. It seems that this young staff member regards me as just another member of the rank and file. It is logical. He wouldn't pull off such a prank if he knew better. He wouldn't realize it may lose him his job. John Smith is my name. As I approach 50, I am a man who had to change occupations at this age. I have had a really demanding first week at work, what with moving and handling a ton of paperwork. It's been almost a month since then. My daily life is starting to stabilize as I become adjusted to my new work, home, and surroundings. Even though they are not very noteworthy, the last few days have brought about a number of events at work. It's been a terrific kind of challenge for me, the new man. Overall, I'm not too unhappy with my new existence. My seniors who are teaching me the ropes are all younger, which may have something to do with my age at the time of this career move. There is a lot of fresh talent at work. Many of them trust me and recognize my abilities. In an effort to keep up with them, I've expanded on my prior professional expertise to do worthwhile tasks. However, a gloomy shadow is hanging over my life. Brandon is the department manager at my new employment, and he is my immediate management. He's a seasoned worker, only 32, having completed his studies at a private university of distinction and rising to the position of department manager. It appears that he is proud of his quick ascent and has it in for me. He is hesitant to approve different applications because I joined the company at the age of 50 as a normal employee, and he is constantly picky about document approvals. Nevertheless, he consistently gives me a very low rating, as if an old hand like me is worthless, and he doesn't seem to like me at all. It casts major doubt on whether he is as knowledgeable or capable as his title would imply. He has an obnoxious attitude and is easily enraged by anything that doesn't suit him. When things don't go his way, he probably doesn't enjoy it. It's not difficult to surmise that this behavior is being driven by his excessive pride. He is a self-centered individual who assigns his subordinates unpleasant chores. He is said to be the greatest in the business at grabbing credit for other people's work. I had heard gossip about him previously, but it appears that he has been acting worse lately, most likely as a result of an elderly newbie that he feels he can bully. I could as well call myself manager because of the amount and type of work I have on my plate. What exactly is the management doing, though? It aggravates me. He's focused on his phone instead of paperwork or a computer screen. Brandon, what precisely are you doing on your phone? Even when employees subtly criticize him, he simply responds, "Quiet, I'm doing research," showing no signs of changing. One time, I happened to glance at his phone screen, which had an animation of enormous robots engaged in combat. This is not an animation or screenwriting company. It has nothing to do with the robot industry. Not just me, but a few other employees are furiously steaming within over his alleged research. It should come as no surprise that his subordinates, including me, are being overworked at this rate. Almost every day, I find myself working extra hours, and I'm beginning to miss seeing the sunset. However, the manager consistently departs on time. Being punctual is a good thing in and of itself. In fact, it should be promoted. But things aren't the same with Brandon. With all the work he does in the workplace, he might as well be taking the day off at home. All right, I'm leaving. Ensure that you manage everything, particularly yourself as the novice. It appears that he will be departing early today, as it is already 6:00 p.m. He yells my name out loud, pointing his index finger in my direction. Normally, I would welcome assistance, but in his situation, it works better without him. "Yeah, all right," I mumble. Neither the other employees nor I attempted to stop him from leaving. Given that he started as a manager at the age of 32, More advancement wouldn't be out of the question if he worked a little harder. I tried to increase our workflow efficiency by working with the senior personnel, excluding the manager, because I could take no more of this. As part of the current paperless trends, we began by minimizing the amount of printed materials. We have been able to reduce the amount of time wasted on filing and document searches. We then stopped holding pointless meetings. It was a complete waste of time to ramble on for an hour about unimportant reports. We stopped it right away and limited it to sending internal emails to every member. With this strategy, we were able to increase our productivity while reducing the amount of overtime we worked. To my amazement, top colleagues thanked me since I was the one who first suggested these efficiencies. However, one individual was not amused by these modifications. It goes without saying that it was Brandon, our manager. He didn't obstruct the efficiency attempts at first, but he turned like a switch and began to object as soon as he realized I was the one behind it. Don't go doing things on your own. I'm sorry, but at this rate, everyone's health is going to suffer. Cease. The goal is to work hard until you are exhausted. He said, don't try to make it easy, even though he wasn't particularly exhausted or busy. I decided to just apologize without retaliating and return to work, because putting up with his abuse was exhausting and a waste of time. I've been at this job for around a month and a half. Fortunately, there was a corporate trip planned that doubled as my welcoming celebration. Family participation was permitted upon request, and the destination was Guam. Would you kindly approve of this, Brandon? This application is for family members to travel with the firm. Oh, all right. All right. Brandon grabbed the papers as soon as I turned them over, as like he was about to pull them out of my hands. At that moment, he was once more staring at his phone, likely annoyed at being interrupted while watching. I'll pass this on from me to the director. Thank you. How the world? Brandon gave me his permission very quickly, which shocked me. Brandon? What? Stop staring and beat it. Okay. That was when he was grinning a little. I drove my wife, Ally, to the meeting place on the day of the work trip. Our plane tickets were intended to be given to us at the airport gate, where we were meant to meet. I wonder how the in-laws are doing, I said to Ally, who was lugging bags in both hands amid the throng of people. People don't realize that my wife Ally is a Guam native who was raised in Nebraska. We got married and met while I was living on Guam because of certain things. They are all right. A little while ago, I received an email. Dad was a ride at the fiesta in the village. He exuded such joy. In Guam, villages often celebrate with fiestas. It's a wonderful celebration that even visitors can participate in, honoring the patron saints. That's excellent. They appear healthy. Sure, we said, discussing our kin while making our way to the entrance. Many of the attendees, including those from our department, had already congregated. Oh, good morning, John. Kay, a senior coworker, sent the greeting. She is a young, promising employee who started with the company the previous year. Happy morning. Is it true that Brandon is managing all of the tickets? Then I'll go collect them. Brandon was in a rest area close to the gate, still deeply absorbed in that cartoon film on his phone. Good morning, Brandon. What exactly? Are you present? What do you mean, you're here? Regretfully, he paused the video and carried on with the same smug expression as when I had sent in the travel request. I don't have tickets for you two. What? Brandon started to smile even more as I scowled. What do you mean by that? With anticipation for revealing her face to her parents, Ally inquired. I asked Brandon the same question as well. It implies exactly what I stated. It is impossible for a slacker and a novice like you to be going. Brandon, that's your own description. I was about to respond, but refrained to avoid making a scene that may jeopardize my future employment with the company. Furthermore, this was a public area. The name of the company needs to be visible someplace, and I didn't want to draw unfavorable attention. It's time to board, sorry. Regretfully, Mr. Novice, return to the office and work quietly, as you were always so slow. As he made his way to the boarding gate, Brandon made fun of Ally and me, leaving us stunned. It was me who had personally recommended visiting Guam during our conversation. I had already taken time off for travel, and the workplace would likely be closed anyhow, as Brandon mentioned. We would unavoidably have to deal with a security firm if we broke in. Yes, doing it alone makes sense. Regardless, I've already purchased some mementos for the family. So let's carry that out. I'll inquire out the availability of tickets for today. For the first time in a long time, I also wanted to visit my in-laws. Not to mention that I had vital business to attend to on the second day of the scheduled company trip. Although Brandon didn't appear to know, I had to depart. I stood in the queue for about 10 minutes before I went up to the cashier. "Excuse me, do you have 2 seats available for today's flight to Guam?" With a straight back and kind expression, the woman said, "Yes, let me check for you," and she began to type on the computer keyboard. She clicked the mouse a few times before turning back to face me. "I appreciate your patience. We can arrange for it, but it will only be in business class." Class of business. That will come at a slightly higher cost. After all, this is a vacation. Let's indulge a little and have a great time. Those seats will work just nicely, yes. I'm grateful. Understood. We were able to secure last-minute tickets to Guam for whatever reason. On the next aircraft, Ally and I headed to Guam. Business class was far more comfortable than I had anticipated, with better seats that keep you feeling refreshed even after a long day and more personal space than regular seats. It might have been preferable to cover this out of pocket. "I'm sorry, I need to use the loo real quick." "Sure." It was 1.5 hours after they had left. I had to get up from my seat since I was getting too tired to stay in my chair and enjoy my coffee any longer. I found the loo by following the indications, but it was occupied. I heard something flush after hanging around for a few while. At last, the lock snapped open, revealing a man. "I'm sorry for the wait. Oh, John, is that you?" "What's up, Jack?" "Is it not?" It was Jack, a less experienced coworker I had before changing jobs. We were both taken aback by the unexpected meeting that took place here. "What brings you here?" "I was on vacation with my family back in Nebraska, and now I'm heading back to Guam for work." "Is that accurate? I'm also on vacation. I intended to see my wife's family. I recently relocated to Nebraska as well." "You're on vacation, I see. My dad told me that you were visiting Guam on a business trip." "Jay, you heard about that." In actuality, Jack is the son of the Guam business owner for whom I previously worked. I got along well with him, and of course, with his father too. My current employer and the head of that company had ties, which is how I was invited to Nebraska. I told Jack what was going on, because there wasn't really anything to hide. "Haha, it sounds like you're in quite the situation." "Come on, it's not funny, really." "I apologize. Who knows what will happen to this so-called manager Brandon, though." "Haha, indeed." Hearing about Brandon made Jack laugh out loud, presumably because he understands why I was called to Nebraska. That is, why I was called to this place. "Hey, how about the get-together? Did you not plan it for the second day of the business trip?" "So, what should I do?" "I'm supposed to be on vacation right now because of Brandon." "Well, what to do now?" "Oops, I came here to use the loo." "Oh, I apologize for keeping you waiting. I'll just take care of business now, and I'll consider this later." Du's Airport was where the plane landed, still without an answer. I was standing there with Ally and Jack, waiting for our bags to emerge from the conveyor belt, when, "Is that John? Hey, have you traveled this far on your own dime? Stupid man." "Thanks for that." Who knew he was still at the airport? It was really unpleasant today, his typical condescending attitude. Well, your hotel and meals aren't arranged, so you better take care of it yourself. Having delivered his piece, Brandon returned to the other staff members and burst out laughing. Jack, who was standing close by, was having a hard time not laughing, but it was serious business. Following a half hour of chatting with Jack and gathering our bags, Ellie's uncle arrived to drive us home. It was time to bid Jack farewell for the time being. I'll see you later. We should get dinner together, the four of us including your wife, if that's what you want. That seems like a nice idea. What about this evening tomorrow? Sure. I gave a final wave before getting into the vehicle. The family house of Ellie was the destination. Family members got together for a garden party in her honor that evening. Even though it had just been a month and a half, their daughter's cross-border absence made them feel lonely. My mother-in-law and father-in-law were ecstatic to see Ally again. Oh, how tasty. That flavor, that's for sure. Yes, you do have beer in Nebraska. I split a beer with Ellie's brother while the three of them were having a blast. They do, of course, but it's not to my taste. Perhaps because I've spent so much time here. Is that accurate? If you would like, feel free to take some beer from our home. Are you serious? Yes, without a doubt. But be mindful of the amount. If you over the limit, you will be charged. Got it. Finally, as the drinks and chatter flowed, I started to grow tipsy. At every party, it's the greatest time of day, but beautiful moments are interrupted by noise. A phone call. I removed the phone from my right pocket, and Manager Brandon appeared on the screen. Even though I wasn't feeling it, I responded. Hello, this is John. Hi, how are you doing? Now please proceed to the Elaine Hotel. His voice was so aggressive that I automatically withdrew the phone from my ear. Why? By why? What do you mean? Please come over here. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to decline. Say no. What plans do you have? Did you not make the designation that we wouldn't be joining the trip? Brandon, I'm on vacation now, so please excuse me. Hey. He started to say something more, but I abruptly canceled the call because I didn't want any more hiccups. After that, he gave me numerous more calls. I finally had to configure my phone to refuse his calls since he was so persistent. I was having fun, forgetting everything, when my pocket buzzed once more. I checked the screen as I was ready to disregard it because I remembered that I had blocked Brandon. Oh, the person on exhibit was President Riley. Asher Riley, a friend of the president of the company where Jack works, is the president of the company where I was hired. He had been looking for me because he loved the work I had done in Guam. At 70, he is considering retiring shortly. Hello, this is John. Riley is here. Brandon told me that you are taking a break. I apologize. Ellie and I were left out of the work trip because of a plot by Brandon, even though I was meant to go. Right now, I'm on personal business in Guam. We're hosting a celebration at Ellie's parents' house. I've described all that took place. Is that accurate? I apologize for causing you inconvenience. No, President Riley, nothing that you've done. We'll spend the day at my wife's family's house for the time being. All right, no problem. I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll make sure to attend the networking event. I'll be here waiting. Are you aware of the location and time? Yes, I'm aware. All right, then you have my whole trust for tomorrow. This introduction is crucial. Understood. The call came to an end after a few more pleasantries. Who would have imagined that the president would learn about Brandon's conduct in this way? Ellie and I met Jack and his wife in front of the park the following day. To get to our planned accommodation, we took a taxi. Well, this is impressive. Travelers of all stripes, from superstars and tycoons to the regular Joe, flock to Guam. Everybody has a distinct style. This hotel was sparkling everywhere you looked, as if it were designed for tycoons. Glamorous-looking artwork was casually on show. Everything was beautiful, even the furniture and the way people behaved. We have a dinner reservation here, so it should be a good warm-up for the important networking event. Yes, without a doubt. We have 2 hours till the networking event, so there's enough time to eat in peace and quiet before going to the event's top floor location. We ate a delicious supper and then rode the lift to the top floor. The meal was delicious and created wonderful memories. It would have been lovely to eat this supper with the department's senior workers. It's about time, huh, John? Yes, even at my age, I'm starting to feel anxious. It is unavoidable. After all, John, you're the next. When the bell chimed, it signaled that we had reached the top floor. There was the sound of important voices buzzing when the doors opened. When we got there, John, Brandon, a man who didn't belong at the posh hotel, came running towards us and started screaming. You hang up on me yesterday. How dare you? Brandon's face twisted like the visage of a devil. He was so angry that only half of what he said made sense. I was on vacation, after all. Stop chatting back to me. And why is it the way you think? Is that how you talk to your boss, huh? Brandon continued to yell despite my answers. The other employees were glaring at the excited Brandon without realizing it. I was chewed out because you weren't there. I wonder how you plan to accept accountability if this has an impact on my promotion. Was it Brandon? Why don't you quit creating a scene in this lovely location? At last, Jack ran out of patience. Ha ha. Oh man, that's hilarious. Jack laughed in perfect Nebraskan at Brandon. Cease talking. In any case, who are you? Outsiders ought to keep quiet. Oh my, look at that shouting. Hey, Jack, it's not just the noise. The women are getting intimidated. Shut up, I said. Brandon, the manager, repeatedly stomped his right foot on the ground as soon as Jack opened his mouth. He appeared to be a child having a tantrum about not getting the item he desired. John, pay attention. Even if you were to scuff my route to advancement. Brandon spewed out his complaints and kept poking his index finger in my face. And then it was there. Ah, so here you are, John. From behind Brandon, there came a forceful yet quiet voice. President Riley was the one in question. Brandon suddenly straightened himself and forced a smile, realizing he had been caught in the wrong moment of visibility. Mr. President, good evening. I really apologize for yesterday. No, I should be the one to apologize. Besides, even though it's a holiday, I appreciate you coming here today. President Riley waited a few seconds, not even looking up at the standing Brandon, before speaking again. Next president. What? Upcoming president? Brandon's shoulders grew weaker when he told me this, as did the present president. I was absolutely in shock, not knowing what was going on. Brandon. Yes, sir. Never fear. You'll never get a promotion. President Riley turned to face the venue after saying those few words. He led the 4 of us into the event. The manager had gone silent, as if all the hullabaloo earlier had been a fake. He was unable to speak. He could only open and close his mouth. The party got underway. One by one came company executives' addresses, followed by the current president's. I could feel my anxiety rising. It's finally time. Yeah, Ellie may have noticed my anxiety because she whispered to me from her seat to my left. I'm hoping she won't mind my terse response. President Riley began his introduction. Ladies and gentlemen of our company, today, all the way here in Guam. But I was too nervous to pay attention. And at last the moment arrived. Therefore, I, Asher Riley, will step down from the presidency and watch over the company as chairman. There were mixed cheers and gasps after that. Chairman Riley spoke again, once it had subsided a little. I've already chosen the person who will succeed me as president. Kindly take the lead, John Smith. Yes, I said in a firm yet respectful tone. I was concerned whether my gait appeared excessively rigid. John, would you kindly speak up? The person handed me the mic. I positioned myself to the right of the chairman, surveying the gathered staff. Good. It appears that they are on board, albeit I did spot one anomaly seated by themselves at a corner table. I talked about the future while focusing forward. Let me begin by introducing myself. John Smith is who I am. I've been granted the privilege of taking President Riley's place as the new CEO. My dedication is to our company's continuous development and expansion. I'm excited to collaborate with each and every one of you. The room erupted in applause. Even I was taken aback. Such a cordial greeting astonished me. A 50-year-old man changed employment just 15 days ago, and now he is the CEO. My original summons from Guam to Nebraska as the heir apparent to the presidency was only known by the upper echelons of the government. I'm grateful, Mr. President. I'm excited to work with you to grow the business. And now, it appeared as though the chairman's speech might go on. Since the outcome of our meeting was different, I unintentionally made a noise. Enough discourse is needed in these trying times, but we don't need those who stand in the way of our advancement and bring the rest of us down. After we return from this trip, I'll be displaying some instructions. So, for now, just take pleasure in the trip. That is all. I bowed to everyone in attendance along with the chairman and headed down the stairs. I watched as Brandon trembled and pressed his right hand on his brow. I had spent the most of my life overseas because of my parents' jobs. I was born and raised in China, where I completed my elementary and middle school education before moving to the U.S. to pursue my higher education. I was hired by a Nebraskan corporation in the United States thanks to my language abilities. I always made excellent sales by taking use of my bilingualism. To increase sales, I was even asked to conduct seminars. A few months ago, that's when Mr. Riley came up to talk to me. The president of Guam is friends with Mr. Asher Riley, the head of the Nebraska firm. He is currently 70 years old, and from what I've heard, he is considering retiring shortly. But the fact that he hadn't yet appointed a successor proved to be a problem for him. It was for this reason that I was suggested to succeed President Riley. Even if I were to be abruptly appointed president, I have little knowledge of the inner workings of the business. In addition, there is a lot of pressure. I stipulated that I would work as a regular employee for a period of 1 to 2 months as a result. This was voluntarily accepted by President Riley, and the employment move was completed with my approval. In retrospect, I think that choice was the right one. That allowed me to identify individuals like Brandon. President Riley called me the night before the social event, and I gave him an update on Brandon. He continued coming up with justifications that worked for him when he called him and inquired as to why I wasn't there. President Riley was furious about this, but Brandon was also upset with me and was attempting to place the blame elsewhere. But there's no justification for reprimanding me. Anyhow, it appears that at that point, he had already made up his mind about what to do with Brandon. In addition to this instance, Brandon has long been the target of grievances from the staff. I also discussed the strange numbers that Brandon had reported with the current chairman. As the new president, I can't ignore it because it's an essential component of the business's revenue. I requested some of the staff members who were still in Nebraska to look into Brandon. Consequently, one piece of misbehavior evidence after another was discovered. It appears that throughout the previous few years, he had been embezzling money. Naturally, Brandon was let go because he kept doing these things. I received the official notice immediately upon my return from my vacation to Guam, as the chairman had informed me. He was the target of statements like pulling everyone's leg and hindering progress. After then, the lawyers were left to handle the situation. He needs to make amends for his actions if he was pilfering business funds, which is a serious offense. The chairman, myself, and the other staff members are not employed by charitable organizations. I've been the president for 6 months now. Reducing overtime and raising productivity are the immediate objectives. I push for the corporation as a whole to adopt the same procedures that I had been using in the department when I initially joined. I also actively promoted remote work and flexible scheduling. My first task as president was to provide a workspace that is comfortable for all employees. The employees have responded well to this system change, and I've been receiving a variety of proposals from them. President Smith. O'Kelly came over. What can I do for you? We believed it would be beneficial to use chat for internal communication during our departmental discussion. It's easier to check with and more relaxed. You know chat? Yes, that could be useful. I'll discuss it at the upcoming executive meeting. Many thanks for it. I am depending upon you. I don't want to sit up high, which is why I want a space where I can easily consult at any time or location. I made it a point to always wear a smile on my face and spend as much lunchtime as possible with the staff. It appears to be working well. The company's productivity has increased as a result of finding a good balance between the free working style I learned at the Guam company and the rigorous working attitude I learned at the Nebraska company. The chairman appears happy as he observes the current situation of the business. Now that he is totally at ease, he has left to see the world. He seemed to be thoroughly enjoying his retirement. Jack, who recently became president of Guam, myself, and the chairman lead the monthly web regular meeting, which broadcasts his experiences. We have a nice chuckle, then get to work. I, too, am beginning to anticipate this rhythm. A positive work environment. A workplace with distinct boundaries. A workplace devoid of stress. An office where nobody is made fun of. It's difficult to encapsulate the qualities of a wonderful workplace in a single phrase. But I want to pay attention to what the staff have to say and make every dream a reality. I think that these efforts will benefit the organization, and it is because of this idea